They always say that in the office. I don't know why they bother. It's pointless ringing. Hi, my name's Bertie, and in this video I want to talk to you about ownership of problems and just taking ownership of any issues that arise in your business. What I mean by this is when something goes wrong in your business, whether it's your fault or somebody else's fault, the best way to deal with that is to take ownership of this problem yourself, admit that you were wrong, sort out the resolution and make sure that is carried through to the customer's satisfaction. The wrong way to deal with that is to very quickly blame that onto somebody else. Now, it might indeed be somebody else's fault, but as a customer, if this is something that's happened to you, you just don't care. You don't care whose fault it is that your repair person hasn't turned up or your takeaway's turned up late. You just want to know when it's going to be there and how this is going to be resolved. And that's what I mean by taking ownership of something. So the other day I was waiting in for a repair. We've probably all had this situation. Someone's due for 10 o'clock. You've took the day off from work. By 10 o'clock not turned up, so I ring the office. They then don't even appear to check, just tell me that they're on their way. 11 o'clock rolls around, 12 o'clock, few more calls, the same dismissive response from the person that's answered the phone. And eventually when this repair person turns up at 2 o'clock, the first thing he says to me is, "Oh, they always say that in the office. I don't know why they bother. It's pointless ringing. This job was booked in for 2. So clearly something's wrong there. I assume it wasn't the business owner that answered the phone. It actually sounded like she was half asleep and still in bed, so I don't know who I spoke to at that point. However, if these are the people that are representing your company, then these people have to understand that taking ownership of problems and making sure that that's resolved to the customer is crucially important. So what should have happened in that interaction, in that first phone call that I made, was, "Hi there, Mr. Cording. Yes, I understand that your person's late. Let me find out where he is or where she is, and I'm going to get back to you and let you know." So that phone call either to the engineer or just actually going off and doing a little bit of research just to keep me informed then would have made all the difference. Now, possibly at that point, and this is another thing that I just want to mention, I suspect that she may even have known that he wasn't due till 2 o'clock, but didn't want to deliver me the bad news. Maybe they're scared of how I'm going to react. But not to give me the facts actually made the situation so much worse. So if that was the case, and she did have to deliver that bad news to me, at least then we know exactly what the problem is, and between us we could have come up with a way of solving it. Now maybe I had to be at work for 1 o'clock and there was no way around it, but at least then we could have scheduled another appointment. It might have been an awkward conversation, but at least it would have been resolved rather than just passing on this problem for somebody else to deal with. Because for that engineer walking through the door at 2 o'clock, it's not a nice situation to be in, and it's not a nice situation to be in because it all could have been avoided in the first instance. So this is what I'm talking about taking ownership of problems. It might not necessarily be your fault, but if you can take ownership of that problem, it puts you in absolute full control for you to be able to deal with it, which means the customer is going to have a much better experience and you're in control of getting it resolved. Even if you can't resolve that problem, then find somebody that can and make sure you do a full and thorough handover of that problem and make sure the customer then knows how it's going to be resolved. So again, in that instance, I'm not in a position to be able to deal with that for you. However, I'm going to pass you out to Barry. He's the head of our engineers. He's going to look into it for you and he's going to make sure that resolved. Isn't that right, Barry? Yes, of course I am. Sorted. So that's what I'm talking about here. If there's an opportunity just for you to sort these problems out for your customers, then really you should be doing that. Don't be throwing people under a bus. Don't be blaming somebody else for the problems. Really take ownership of the problems yourself, and you will find that in the long term, customers are much happier with the result. You might have to have some awkward conversations to begin with, but I promise you, in the long term, they will appreciate it much more that you've been open and honest and seen the problem through right through to its resolution. So I hope that's been useful for you today. If you've got any questions or comments, whack it in the comment section below. My name's Bertie and I'll be back with some of these videos soon. Thank you.